Hello everybody, welcome back to Fishing with Mr. Chow, and this is Chow. You know, it's cold out there and it's time of the year where you're not out often, so this is the perfect time to get your maintenance done. Um, I have my annual maintenance done on my boat, and so what I will show you guys is the stuff that was done to my boat, and I took it to Leon and Kevin to get it done. Um, so there's going to be a couple clips. You have to go through them to see all these um, maintenance. So example is have the battery check, the belt tensioner and compression check, a spark plug, alternator, fuel filter, thermostat, lower unit, oil change. These are some of the stuff that you would need to get it done annually to prolong your motor's life. And so enjoy the video, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. So see you next time.
Today we're going to talk about maintenance on your motor. On a Chow's boat, we're going to do an annual maintenance. Up here from this point down, you see a list of what's in the service manual for Mercury's annual maintenance, yearly. There's a lot more to proper maintenance than just what's in this list. The professionals doing it know about these other things and usually do them. This is what I do from here down, and I like to follow the order that I put it in. I have a reason for doing it in a specific order and doing it that way every time. It avoids mistakes. It avoids forgetting to do something that's important to do. So anyway, we're going to go through this and follow the procedure I have here. And it starts with testing batteries. That's the first thing we're going to do, is test the batteries in the boat, make sure they're all up to snuff.
All right. So guys, this is what I have. I have an ionic lithium battery there, cranking battery, and then 2 Dakota for my trolling motor.
This is something more technicians neglect and skip, and it's very important. The motor depends on a properly charged battery for the electrical system to work correctly. It's very, very important, and it may save fishermen a lot of grief by me catching a battery that's marginal or bad or insufficient to do the job for them. That's why that's the first thing I go to. Okay, the battery rating on this one is 800 CCA, which is a touch on the weak side, but I'll talk about that later. Okay, it wants the temperature of the battery. This thing has a temp sensor. So you point it at the battery, it'll lock in the temperature in that battery. Okay, and then so it's saying it's 48 degrees, even though the air is about 65 this morning.
Okay.
And now it's doing a test. I guess I did have a bad connection and I got it corrected. Now it's giving us a printout of the report on that battery. The results are telling me by how this battery is built at its spec, it's testing good. It measured 742 CCA. I actually put in the wrong number. This battery's rated at 800, not 900, which is sufficient for this motor.
Okay.
But it's borderline too small for bass fishermen. The reason being, Mercury recommends 800 minimum on Optimax motors.
Okay.
But that's with no additional electronics. Well, fortunately, Tal has a house battery, so he's not pulling extra electronics. So that's enough battery. If he was running all of his electronics off this battery as well, we recommend about 950 CCA. But since this is on a separate battery, you don't have that constant drain all day long. So it meets Mercury's requirements for a minimum specification. So that battery is good.
Okay.
All right, I got it set up to save time. Computer's plugged in, hooked up to the diagnostic port over here. So it's going to be able to pull the history out of the computer, and I can watch data. The reason I follow this order is when we do a compression test, the motor must be warmed. So while it's warming up, I'm going to check the computer, I'm going to check fuel pressure, and I'm going to look for any obvious water leaks on the motor. Water leaks are important. Visual inspection is important to look them over. Water leaks leave white stains behind. If you have white stains on the motor, find the water leak. They can be very problematic. Okay, when I key up, I'm going to actually, because I had this on a few minutes ago, I see 22 pounds of fuel pressure. That's what's coming from the low pressure pump in it. And it should hold. It shouldn't leak down to zero. You should go up to about 25 pounds, come down to roughly 20 and hold there. That tells me a lot. If I have a fuel injector with a leaking nozzle, it won't hold that pressure. It'll leak right down to zero. If I have one of the diaphragms, such as a tractor valve over here or fuel pressure regulator over there, it'll leak down to zero. So I know I have a fuel system problem that I have to address on it. So now we're going to fire it up, watch what the running pressures are, and get the data out of the computer. All right, let me get this on screen now. I will try to speak loudly enough to overcome the noise from the engine. So while it's warming up, I'm going to watch air pressure, fuel pressure, and we'll watch the thermostats, how they operate. Make sure they're working correctly. This here is water pressure. It's about 1 pound. As it bleeds the air out, it comes up, the pressure can climb up, hopefully to more than 2 pounds. A brand new water pump will commonly go up to maybe 4 pounds per body. So that's not great, but it's okay. And then over here, I'm going to look at temperature like 3 different places. Port cooler temp, 96 degrees. You get two starboard and two port. Okay, good. Like 118, 104. In less than 5 minutes, I want to see it hit 125 degrees. And I'm looking at both of them, because sometimes one will be stuck open but not the other. If they don't warm up properly, you're put yourself at risk of cold seizure on the motor. See, the one is 125 already, 129. Pretty soon it'll open and temperature will drop. And I know it's cycle. This one should do that pretty soon. If it doesn't, get close. If it doesn't, the thermostats are coming out for inspection or cleaning or replacement. I consider that safe for 123 now. 125. And it's been far less than 5 minutes. See, that one went up to 143. That's a little higher than normal. 147, it may be sticking. Actually, this motor might have 140 degree stats in it, not 130 like the Pro XS 256. Let's see if it starts cycling at 150. I think it will. I think these are 142 stats. these are 140 or 150 stacks on this motor. Now watch the fuel pressure. I want to see how fast they bleed off. Come down. The fuel pressure should maintain that spread of 15 pounds more than air, and the leak down brake should be very slow. And if you don't see a lot of leakage in 15 seconds, you're good. And I can already tell these are golden. It's maybe 1 pound of leakage on the air. A little bit more on the fuel, but not much. So I do not have any problem at all with leak down rates. I don't have a problem with the way the thermostats are working on it. I'm sure if I check these, I'm going to find that they're 140, 142 degree thermostats. Some of the 2.5 liter motors were. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the history on the computer. Let me turn my water off.
Okay.
Here. Any fraying, any splitting, any cracking. I know we replaced this just recently, so I don't figure there's a problem. Okay, but I want to know if there's not. The other thing I'm going to do, and you saw me do this before, walk it back and forth. And I'm feeling for a little tiny click, click, click. I want to make sure there's no clicking in it. Feels perfect. Feels like a new one. Then there's one more thing we're going to do. We're going to check the spring and the tensioner and make sure the tensioner spring is good.
All right.
This one I'm sure it is, but we're going to do the test anyway. Make sure that tensioner is still strong enough to keep the belt properly tightened.
Okay.
We're going to set this for 70 inch-pounds. That's 75. That's 70 inch-pounds. We're going to rotate it. Okay? I want it to go all the way to the stops before that goes to 0.
Okay.
I want it to be more than 70 inch-pounds. Well, I got the wrench set backwards. This is reversed. 70 inch-pounds of torque. Now, most guys have a click wrench. I bought this tool in 1968, one of my first high-tech tools, working in electronic transmissions in those days. So I'm turning it. See the tension is starting to move? Let's get it at this angle where it's... Okay, it's moving. And see, it's going to be way more. If I push it over here and 0 it, I'll tell you how much it is. Okay, it's taking 100 inch-pounds to turn this. Are you following me? So if I push it, set my wrench to set the dial type to 0, and then I let off, it tells me how much I used. I used 100 inch-pounds to move it. But with the click wrench, you set it for what you want, and when you pull on it, you want to hear it go click long before this wrenches to stop. If it goes click and it's barely moved or didn't move on it, I mean, if it doesn't click, it doesn't have enough tension, it needs a new tensioner spring.
Okay. So you're checking right now. You're checking the tensioner spring.
Yeah, the spring.
Okay.
That tensioner spring is what keeps your belt adjusted properly. If the spring gets weak, it won't keep enough tension on it, then your alternator could slip, not charged properly, it'll burn up the belt, and even worse, the compressor won't get full capacity. So it may not getting enough airflow.
Okay.
And it's a more common problem. Also, the water leaks we talked about. You get a water leak back here, it starts pisses water on this. It's like a tire on wet pavement. It starts slipping.
Yeah.
So it slips so much, your air pressure goes to hell. What the hell? My motor won't rev up. It's fine at low speed, but high speed it won't rev. It can be a belt slippage problem.
All right.
Difficult to put back on. loosen the grooves. Usually, you're putting a long pulley at the air compressor. This one putting in the air compressor, and then when you rotate it, it'll down into place. If you try to put an ease spurts into this one, it's way more difficult. And look all the way around to make sure that valve's not hung up on anything. It'll run instantly. And you also want to make sure these grooves are in the proper grooves in the pulley, because you can put it on and it's overhanging off the edge. It'll destroy the belt fairly quickly. So be sure it's on correctly. And be sure this is half off, nothing jump off in the French motor.
Okay.
Now, pretty much magnet